words that a person said, but can relationships exist without care or physical contact? Can it exist without mutual assistance and non-verbal signals? Will you be comfortable without all this, and will you be able to continue? But before I continue my speech, I would like to meet everyone. Well, hello dear fellow debaters, our dear judges, my dear opponents, and my dear teammate. My name is Darren, and today I'm the first and the third speaker of the proposition team. This is my teammate Nikolai, he's the second and the fourth speaker of our game today. So today our motion sounds like this house regrets that online romantic acquaintances have become more popular. And we absolutely agree with this statement, and we actually regret about these online romantic acquaintances that have become really popular. So my speech contains several parts. First of all, I'm going to present you our definitions, then actors, then values of course, and then I'm going to present you our case and open our first argument. So let's start with the definitions. So, online romantic acquaintances. We as the proposition side think that these are romantic relationships with people that you only know in internet. For instance, you can use your telephone or a computer and use their different apps and use them in continuing different romantic acquaintances in your life. So as for the actors, then we have a narrow one. These are people who use apps and internet for these romantic acquaintances, as we think that they are the most impacted by this popularity of this situation, and also the society as the whole, and the wide actors of our topic, because not only these people who use apps are impacted, but the whole society, and we will explain you why in our speeches. As for the values, then we value common everyday life of people that are in relationships, and also we really value the ability of a person to love and have love, just to love someone and have love from someone. So as for our arguments, then our first argument sounds like loss of proximity, and our second argument sounds like mental strain. So let's start with the first one, loss of proximity. So when we are talking about the romantic relationship, then we first of all think about, well, what we are doing in the romantic relationship. Well, we as a proposition side think that we can lose the value of the romantic relationship in the internet and in online apps due to lack of physical intimacy, for example, because when you are online apps just restrict the ability to people to fully feel and appreciate physical contact and attraction to other people, and also people cannot create memories together. They just chat with each other in the internet, and they cannot feel the atmosphere with each other. So they are actually separated by these online apps. And also we would like to mention lack of nonverbal signals that we have. For instance, when we are talking about the relationship, not only about the romantic one, then we understand that we need the communication between people. But when we are talking about the online communication, then we do not have their facial expressions of your of the person with whom you are chatting, and you cannot see gestures, and you cannot see the living person at all. So this is the problem. And also we would like to mention the limited context of these apps. For instance, we get to know a person only on the basis of information that he makes available about him. But and also we can imagine his personality, because we have never seen him at all, and we cannot see him at all, like in real life, only in video. But as we know, right now technologies have really the technologies are really developed right now. And also we'd like to mention the threat of data security, as we have the risk of information because your personal information can be misused by the person that is on the other side of your telephone, like on the other side of the app. And also we would like to talk about the trust, because we cannot actually trust to a person while chatting online. And as I said, we cannot have physical contact, we cannot see him at all, and this is a problem. So, and also we cannot have strong emotional connection, because this emotional connection contains different parts. And one of this most important aspect as lack of physical intimacy, non-verbal signals, and context is absolutely restricted by these online apps. So that's why we regret the popularity of these, and that's why people can have difficulties. Let's be realistic but not idealistic. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And we are ready to start opposition side. And we are inviting first speaker of opposition team. You're welcome.
So hello dear ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, our dear opponents, timekeeper. I'm the first speaker of opposition team, my name is Zavan, and I want to start with refutation of our opponents. And their first argument, tell us about lost proximity. They're talking about that we'll lose it because of we have no physical contact, intimacy, and other points. But I want to say that our first conversation, doesn't start with some intimacy points and physical contact, because the main point of quantities is it's conversation, it's communication with the people. We needed to understand the main views of another person. It's important for us because I, as a person, I want to understand interest of another person, and it's the main point why we can live in the future together. And our opponents talking about only relationships that we can lose it in online format, but we're talking about quantities. And if we're talking about quantities, we're talking about starting that relationships, and then we have a lot of opportunities to make that relationships in offline, because we have online chat, video chat, and we can just came to the person that we love one. So they're also talking about no trust, but when we have the same situation in real life, because when some strange guy came to you and said, I want to start this conversation with you, I want to I like you, you also have no trust to this guy. Because of that, we think that the main point of our quantities is conversation that people really need. And about our definition, we wanted to edit romantic quantities. It's conversation that starts in the internet and have the potentially to came into the really into relationships. And about our value, it's depth of human relationships, it's extension of human communication and safety of relationships. And about our ideas, our first one is extension of human communication. I will tell you how we can, if we use that online sources, how we can extend our human communication, and how will it benefit for us, for any actors. And about safety, it's why it's better to start quantities in internet and some strange situation that can happen in real. So I wanna about our actors, it's couple, and we can divide couple on men and women. So we'll tell you about that. As I said, every relationships, every quantity starts with the conversation, to understand the main point of views of the people, to understand the main hobbies of the people, and another aspects. Also have another aspects in real life, that we can see people, we can touch people, but it's not the main point. And we think that starting conversation is easier in online because when we have a lot of aspects that can affect on our conversation offline, like another friends of that people. I'm afraid to come to the girl and start a conversation because she always walking with my friend or another actors, and some additional factors that can stop my conversation. And in the real, there are a lot of factors that can't give me that understanding about that person. So it's long time to understand that person, how it's подходит, how that person suits me or not. And what we have in offline, let's compare. It's no additional factor that we can start conversation, and we have only dialogue. We can focus on it, and we can understand the main point of views. We can understand the hobbies, the interests of the people. So we can understand that man clearly, and it's give us the easier way to make dialogue, easier way to understand our same interest that help to us in the future. And also about opportunities, we have voice video chat, and we can share information with each other, and we can came to each other if we wanna do it. So about safety, what we have in offline format, it's afraid into communication. Also about women, they afraid to communication with guy. Like an example that you conversate with your friends, and some guy tell you that he like you. I'm afraid because I just can know nothing about that guy, and that guy there is direction in woman that I should keep myself in safety. And when that guy, that straight guy, came to me and said that he wanna start a conversation with me, I'm afraid that I wanna to avoid the guy from my life, but it can be a good person that I don't know about it. So that point will be I know that point will be open deeply in our second speech. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And we are inviting the second speaker from opposition team. You're welcome.
Oh, sorry. Can you have a second set up banner? Okay. Hello, my name is Nikolai, and I'm the second speaker of the proposition team. We're still debating on the same motion. This House regrets the online romantic acquaintances becoming more popular. And in my speech, I will do the refutation of our opponents, and then I'll proceed to argumentation. So, also, perhaps I'll do a little bit of rebuttal. First of all, let's talk about the definitions. Our opponent said that romantic acquaintances may one day meet. However, there are two things that I want to point out about this. First of all, there is a difference. The word online acquaintance means that it is somebody that you know online, and therefore, while perhaps meeting someone later is possible in some circumstance, we still believe that it is more important to talk about the process of people interacting with each other romantically online, because once people stop doing that they're no longer an online acquaintance. So we still stand by our definitions. However, we also want to point out that our argumentation and our arguments are still capable of proving our opponents wrong, even in our opponent's idea of what an online acquaintance is. So, first of all, let's do a rebuttal. Our opponent said that conversation is the most important part of love, and therefore physical interactions aren't that much aren't that much of a problem. However, there are two problems with this. First of all, we are not just talking about physical interactions. We're talking about proximity and conversations that happen on an everyday basis. We're talking about
Wait, please.
Yes.
We're talking about the знакомства. We're not talking about the relationships. The relationships can maybe in the further go to the offline. We're talking about that they meet in the online, how it affects that on it.
However, people won't just become offline acquaintances immediately. It takes quite a while for people to actually be ready to move on to a different kind of life. And people won't just jump straight into an offline relationship from an online one immediately. So for the length of the online relationship, our arguments are still true. And this is still true that such routine will be lost. And therefore people will lose certain parts of love. It will feel restricted by the constraints of digital devices. So we still believe that such loss of proximity does happen. So next, another thing that we want to point out is that while conversation is of course important, other parts of love are also parts of love. It can be denied, and by restricting people, and such online acquaintance restricts people to less parts of love, and that is still a problem. So let's move on to the refutation. Our opponents were talking about in their first argument about how easier it is to make make acquaintance with people online. However, such simplicity in starting conversation is a deceitful one, because the reason why it is easier for you to begin a relationship with a person online is actually because of creations of false identity, both by you and by the person you're infatuated with. Because the person you're infatuated with, your lover can put up a front, hide their bad sides. They can they will most likely expose their best parts about themselves while hiding their downsides. And you yourself will likely create an idealized image of that person in your head. Therefore, it may feel like it's easier to begin a conversation online. But it will actually be a negative prospect in the long run. So, about how this is, and now let's move on to our argument. Our first argument is our second argument. My argument is about mental strain. We specifically want to say that we regret such relationships growing in popularity. Since they grow in popularity, more and more people are likely to try them out. And we believe that they are much more likely to fail because online relationships are more prone to failure. This is because they're difficult to handle. We already explained that in our first argument. And additionally, it's also worth pointing out that to keep up an online relationship for a lengthy amount of time enough to perhaps even move on to an offline relationships, if you want to agree with the definitions of our opponents. People have to have the ability to love platonically, they have to be able to resist the urge for proximity for quite a while. And not every person can handle this, and this is normal, because not all of us are capable of just going with such restrictions for a while, and therefore more people are likely to fail. And in failing, and such failure places large mental strain on a person, since they begin to think of themselves as incapable lovers, or incapable people who are incapable of making a conversation, and so on. And such failure of love is quite regretful, and therefore we regret the spread of online romantic acquaintances, since many people are not quite ready for that. Thank you for your attention.
So, hello everyone, I'm the second speaker of the opposition side. I want to remind you that we have nothing to regret, and I want to start with the refutation of our opponent. Their second argument was about the mental health. And I have one point why they think that in internet all Нет, знакомство. Acquaintances goes bad in the further in the relationships. First of all, we don't understand why is it bad, because the main value when you communicate with the man or the woman, it is the communication. Do you have the same motion that you can talk about or not? So the physical appearance and physical moments is not the main. And in offline, if you have the acquaintance and after that it goes to relationships and it's broke down, it can be more hard to stay mentally. So they're talking about the mental health and it can be decreased because of this, but in offline it is more effective because this physical moment you just lose this guy, and after understanding that you have nothing with this, you're going better, bad. But we have the time in the internet to understand is it your guy or not, and we can understand it by the communication. Do you have a real emotion? Do you have the same values about the worldview and something like this? Do you want to communicate with him or not? So, and it will be like the safety for them, for their relationships in the future. So, let's talk about the first argument. We're talking about the physical. It's really important to have this point. They always have the main point about the primacy and the proximity. I want to talk that first of all we have read the main value of this communication. It is the communication, and I want to explain why. In offline, when you communicate with the guy, when you have the acquaintances, you meet him, and if he's beautiful and you have the same motion to talk, you won't talk. You won't have any relation. And in the further, we have the moment that physical moment is not so important as communication as we talk. And in internet, we have more opportunities to have more communication, because communication is one thing that you can take with this guy. You can talk him in the messengers, you can talk him in Skype, and etc, etc, etc. So you have to communicate. And when you communicate, you have your proof or not your values. And I want to, you understand this is my guy or not, and in the consequences, we have the moment, we have nothing to regret about the quantities in the internet, and because the value of the relationship that we want to have after quantities relationships, the main value is the deepness. Is it your guy or not? And to understand it, you have to communicate with the guy, and the communication we have in the offline, in the online, and that's why we think there's nothing to regret about this point that it becomes very popular. It is the same motion, and it is the same moment as in offline. So and they were talking about the fast period and the offline, it is affect more. I want to talk that not in offline quantities and further relationships, they not moving to another guy immediately too. So to understand these basic things in the internet or the offline quantities, it doesn't affect, because in the real life you don't move to this your couple or your spouse immediately. So you have the time, and it is the safety time that proves you is it your guy or not. So I don't understand why we need to regret about the romantic quantities in the online. Their first argument was about data security. We don't understand how this relationship how it connects with our emotion. It's not a problem of the online, it can be offline too. So about their refutation on our argument that was connected with the point about the fake man, fake guy, and etc. We have the one point: if you want to do and if you want to hide your minuses and show your pluses, you will do it in offline too. In online, it doesn't so affect about online or offline. And moreover, you have more safety in online, because you don't see this guy, maybe he wants to do some bad private thing with you, and you have the safety because he's not in front of you. And in the offline, he can somehow hide these minuses. If he wants, he will do. It is the same emotion. You can't read everything about this guy, and most of all, the main. No, thank you. And the main thing connects that we have nothing. This fake matches doesn't so important as the communication that we have in the internet. So, and I want to prove their idea of the safety more. we were talking about the safety of women. We're talking about the quantities, and imagine the quantities in the real life when just man comes to woman and want to to talk and to have some dialogue. I think that not all women will like, okay, I will talk you. Of course not, because they're afraid of their safety. They don't know this guy. But in the internet, you're not safe. You're safe more because he's not in front of you. He has no physical, point that can affect you or make the pressure, and you can talk. And if this guy is creepy, you can just block him. But otherwise, if this in IRL and when you understand that this guy is creepy, it may be too late. He maybe also do some private thing with you. So, and in online quantities, we can more understand is it guy or bad or not. And it is proof that we have more safety of women. That is our values. And that's why we think there's nothing to regret about the rising of popularity about the quantities, online romantic quantities. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for attention.
So, hello one more time, my name is Dara and right now I'm the third speaker of the proposition team, and our topic is still this house regrets that online romantic acquaintances have become more popular, and we regret about this. So, my speech contains several parts. First of all, I'm going to do rebuttal, then I'm going to do refutation, and that's all. So, let's start with the rebuttal. So, to our first argument, that sounded like a loss of proximity, our opponents said several ideas. First of all, they were talking about the communication in online formats, that it is better. They talked about that we can start relationships with video chats, online chats, and there was an example in the speech about yes, we can start the conversation in internet, but we don't understand how it can develop, because the definition of our opponents that they created was about that these online acquaintances have the potential. So we, as we understand, they have only the potential in online. So yes.
It maybe goes to potential in offline too. They can move if they see that it's my guy. Okay, I want to live with him, and after several times, for example, 1 year or 6 months, they can move to each other and live together. Why is that?
Thank you very much. But when we talk about the definition of online romantic acquaintances, then we are talking about everything that goes on in online. But we are not talking about offline side of it. So also about that we can have video chats, then we would like to say that we don't have physical contact. We don't see this person at all, and that is the living person is one of the most important aspects of the communication, because you can see the person, you can see him, you can have his characteristics, but in online, like our second speaker said, you can just imagine his personality, and it can be not true, and people in online can hide their bad sides, and so that's why. And also, as for our second argument, then they were talking about that physical is not the main aspect, and they had the idea about that in online you can communicate more time with the person, like to communicate more in internet, but we do not understand the goal of this communication, because when you want to create romantic relationships, then you want to first of all live with this person, as we think, and you should have some development in these relationships, but online romantic acquaintances do not give this potential to the development of relationships. And no, thank you. And as for the refutation, then their first argument was about that it is easier to make acquaintances online, that value of the communication is communication, and that in online there are in the okay, and we said a lot of ideas about that. People can hide their bad things, and also that communication has a lot of things and aspects, and we regret of the popularity only because like we do not ban these online things. We just regret because we do not have this communication, real communication with a person. So we just regret. We just do not understand this popularity, and we think that people may have some mental, for example, problems after the communication online, because first of all, you do not have any development, and secondly, you cannot just see this person. You cannot do with him like anything. And also about their second argument, then they no, thank you. So they have more time to know this person, and they were also talking about that, like the women safety and etc. And they were talking about that in offline like communication, you can be under the threat too. But we would like to say that okay, in offline format you can see this person first of all and understand if he does have some problems, but in online format you do not see him. You do not have the idea what he's thinking about. Like, okay, I will write someone a message that I'm happy, but am I happy really? Is this person not know that I'm happy? No, I can just do whatever I want on the other side of the phone. So the time context is really, really strange, because while speaking offline, you can understand this person more, because you can see him first of all, you can meet him, and you can speak with him in cafes and etc. So in the end of my speech, I would like to say that we actually regret that online romantic acquaintances have become more popular, and we do not understand this popularity. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. We'll continue our debates, and I want to start with pointing out some really main points during our game. So I think that we both teams talking in different sides, and I think we should divide this point clearly. So I wanna give you the steps in relationships. The first step that we have is quantities. So we start at that step. We start a conversation. We starting to communicate with each other, and we knowing new information about each other. At that point, the main value to us is to understand can I live with that people or not, and how can I do that. Simply that we just talking about our values, we talking about our same interests, and we talking about our worldviews, and it's the more important thing, because without that things we can live with each other. And there is the next step. It's gathering. It's moving closer and living. When we understand all the points, then we can live with each other. I can be with that man because we have a lot of same interests, same hobbies, and so on. We can live with each other, and we moving closer, and then it's creating family. But we think that our opponents talking only about a second step, but in our motion we should talk about quantities. That's starting of relationship, but our opponents show us the problems of gathering, problems of moving closer. Then our values is changing. That for us became important the some personality, intimacy, and so another point. So we think that we should talk in quantities and compare online and offline quantities, and that's consequences. Okay, about their argument about reputation. In their first argument, they said that we lose our we lose physical moment. We can touch the person, we can see the person, and for them it's important communication and real, and we can trust that person. Also, they, as I said, they're talking about relationships, so we can't took physical points because for us it's more important that conversation on that. Also about see that person from the another side of the screen, we can do this. We give our all opponents opportunities to do this. We have video chat, we can voice chat, we can share our photographs, and like we can opportunities to meet each other in real life. And we have that opportunities when we really understand that I'm interested in that person, then we do it. So about trust, it's point like we have no trust in real, because as we said, we can't trust to the guy when we see all the aspects that we have. So we can see him, we can see he's some strange action because he worried. It's a really worried moment when I came to the girl and said I like her, and we can see all of that, and it's make that situation more untrustful. The next point that our opponents talk us about fake personality, and they said that we mentioned one person and in real it's another. But guys, it's okay to be like better in the eyes of your loved one, and everyone wants to be in some points better, wants to give that a better point of myself. It's normal, and we do it in every conversation. Yeah.
So, would you like your loved one to lie to you constantly?
We're not talking about lie. We just in some points give better, and it's happened with any conversation that we have. We wanna to parade to another person because it's our human nature things, and we see nothing wrong with that. And it don't mean that we create a fake personality and the internet. I'm one person, in the real I'm another. It's not working like that. And I want to say that in internet we have no pressure, no physical aspects that we have in real. So it's really easier to start the conversation. Now let's compare that we have in online quantities and in offline quantities. In offline, we have safety because you can be sure that that another guy can affect you in real life. You just on another side of the screen, and it means to your safety. The next point is easier to start. It's easier to start for a woman and for a man because women want afraid, and men for men it's start to start a conversation because in real it's really more afraid. So it's easier to find your couple because in your surrounding it cannot be that person that you like one, and you have a lot of opportunities to find that person like in that sphere, and in that sphere, in sphere that I like. And what we have in applying future sentences, it's additional points that stopped our conversational relationships and became two strong relationships. In offline, it's in some ways it's really harder to start. Thank you for your attention.
So hello everyone, I'm the opposition reply speaker. I want to remind you that our motion discussed regret the online romantic quantities have become more popular, and I really disagree with it. And we have several pushpoints during the game. I want to show it for you. So the first was about the physical moments. So our opponents were talking about like it is really important in the quantities that we need to have the physical contact and something like this. But we have no understanding why this is so important. And otherwise, we as our opposition side gave the value of communication and why is it more important than physical and how we showed it. So you understand that it's your guy or not during the moment. If it's the same worldview, is it the same value that you, and do you have the same emotions to talk? So, and you can't, and as you said in our second speech, and I'll continue in the third, you won't communicate with the beautiful guy, but that have no worldviews as yours, and the online quantities and offline quantities have no difference. There's no difference about it. So we don't understand why we should regret about the rising popularity of the quantities and why physical appearance, physical context is more important than our communication. So, and that's why. And about the influence on actors, we have no bad influence like from the online quantities. And we saved our values about the extension of human communication through this moment. So, and the second point was about the hiding contact, that you can hide your minuses and show more pluses. And they said, so first of all, we don't understand, so why is it so bad? We have not the logical chain. And secondly, we proved why this corresponding goes to our side. So, firstly, in offline, you can hide your minuses too. If you want, you will do it. Secondly, it is more safety to understand what is the guy or not, because he's not in front of you, and you understand that he won't do any bad physical or private things, as we said in our second speech. So we have more safety. And thirdly, we have that in our third speech that a lot of points that shows you that you want to show yourself in the better place, and it's not connections to the online quantities or offline quantities. So, and that's why we don't understand why we should regret about that couples meets in the online. And this good point goes to our side. And thirdly, I want to compare online and offline quantities and the consequences of it. So we have the point about the safety, that in the offline quantities, when you meet, you have not so good safety. It was about our second argument that he can just go and maybe do some private things. In online, you can do, you won't have this risk, because you can just block this guy. It was about our the second idea was about it. And in online, we have more safety, as I said, and the same values about the future relationships, about the quantities, safe, because the main value of it is communication. And in online, we have the same communication as offline. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for attention. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Hello. Once again, I'm the reply speaker of the proposition team, and in my speech, I will explain a few clash points that occurred during the game. So, first of all, one of our clash points is about how is it easier to meet people in the first stage of acquaintance. Our opponents were talking about how it is easier to talk and it is better to focus on conversations and discussions. However, our opponents did not quite point out why is it important to cut out such an important aspect of meeting people as proximity, which we explained in detail, and which our opponents tried to tone down to just physical intimacy, which it wasn't just that, it was a set of different values which are lost with digital interactions. We also explained that it is harder to see people for what they are on the internet, and about how love is restricted and false identity is easier to be created in the internet than in reality due to the nature of online interactions, which our opponents refused to by just saying that once again everything is it's still possible in offline interactions, which they said quite a bit, but we find it wrong that our opponents just quickly dismiss any downsides of online interactions as something that happens in offline as well, because that's simply not true. There are differences between the two mediums of interactions, and each comes with its own downsides and upsides, and we are simply showing that that these are the downsides of interacting on social media, and therefore they impact the relationships so greatly that it should not. Since they impacted the relationships, we regret such changes. So, our second clash point was about how it is easier to about moving to another person, and the second stage of meeting people, which our opponents said that it is not an important deal, because people will move together either way in an offline relationship, where they'll be and in an online relationship they'll be able to find out people for what they are. However, this is once again pointless equalization, because ignoring the different aspects of the two mediums. And it is important that it is easier to lull people into the false sense of security on the internet, where people interact solely through conversation. And the third point is similar, in that it's about, is it safer to converse on the internet? And we believe that this one, as all the others, definitely goes to our side, because it's always been much easier to fool people on the internet. It's just the nature of the platform, and it does not exist in the physical world. And so it is easier to be fooled on the internet, and it is not safer to talk to them. So that's all we want to say. That's why we won the game. Thank you very much.